we shall talk about the space. There. We are going to the moon and we need to dress the part. I just had a conversation with Dan Klopp, the Director of Business and Marketing from ILC, the company that built and designed the Apollo mission spacesuits, and now the next generation of lunar spacesuits for the Artemis program. Welcome back to my channel, guys. My name is Anita Qureshi, and this is Like an Astronaut. Rather than owning space vehicles like they did during the space shuttle era, NASA is going to rent rides from SpaceX, Boeing, and Sierra Space. The Artemis program plans to put boots back on the moon, but space is a harsh environment. An astronaut needs to be tough, and a spacesuit needs to be tougher. So what is a spacesuit and how does it save an astronaut's life? So what I'm going to be telling you guys today is in the back of the conversation with Dan Klopp. So these are going to be really juicy behind the suit details. Get it? Like behind the scenes? Anyway, what are the different types of spacesuits? Two different types of spacesuits: launch entry abort, also known as IVA, or extravehicular activity, EVA spacesuits. So launch entry abort are worn within the spacecraft. They're tailored to each spacecraft and they do not have an independent life support system. EVA, extravehicular spacesuits, two different types. First, zero-G, also known as...
I jokingly refer to as space booties in those because you're not walking on anything.
Zero-G suits have minimal mobility in the lower torso. All the mobility is in the upper torso. Then there's walk-arounds. So walk-arounds are the kind of suits that you would wear on the surface of the moon and in the future, Mars. What makes a spacesuit a spacesuit? I mean, could I go to space with a tux or a dress? Technically it would be in space. I don't think it'd protect me from anything though. So a spacesuit is built based on requirements. So for example, mission profile for EVA or the spacecraft. So examples of requirements might be zero-G, is it going to be on the surface of the moon, or how long is the spacecraft? So there are some notable aspects of the two spacesuits that I mentioned that make them spacesuits. So for example, the LEA, well, that's unpressurized its entire working life, unless there's something wrong with the spacecraft, and in that case, you know, it will be pressurized. Also, it has minimal mobility because astronauts will be in a seated position for most of the journey because it will be in a spacecraft. Then with EVA, it's pressurized its entire working life because it actually has an independent life support system. Now, not only is it pressurized, it also has really good mobility and dexterity. And this is the thing that makes, ILC, the company that made Apollo mission spacesuits super special, because they can make these pressurized spacesuits with great mobility. And that is not an easy thing to do. So how do EVA spacesuits protect astronauts from space? We're going to be focusing on EVA spacesuits because EVA spacesuits are the ones that are actually exposed to the harsh space environment. So there are 5 threats that actually, key threats rather, that actually can kill an astronaut, that spacesuits need to protect an astronaut from. And I'm going to tell you these in chronological order. So threat number 1, can you guess it? Threat number 1 is lack of air pressure. So EVA spacesuits provide air pressure to maintain bodily fluids. Within 30 seconds of lack of air pressure, no air pressure, an astronaut will be dead in space. Now, there is something called an Armstrong's limit, which is 62,000 feet above sea level. Now, higher than this altitude, you need to have a full pressure garment. If you don't, you will not be able, you'll be dead.
They have NASA astronauts do as part of their training for EVAs is they put them in a suit, pressurize the suit, and put them inside a vacuum chamber. They give them a sealed cup of water. They have them take the lid off the water once the chamber's down to pressure. It just starts boiling violently. You can't believe how violently.
Threat number 2, lack of oxygen. EVA spacesuits provide oxygen for metabolic function and scrub CO2 that is exhaled. Now, without oxygen, you will be unconscious for 3 minutes and you will be dead within 5 to 10 minutes. Threat number 3, temperature. EVA spacesuits provide temperature protection. In LEO, low Earth orbit, temperature on the side of the Earth facing the Sun is 125 degrees Celsius. That's 257 degrees Fahrenheit. On the dark side of the Earth, it's minus 125 degrees Celsius. That's minus 193 degrees Fahrenheit. An average spacewalk is 7 hours. An orbit is every 90 minutes. So in a single spacewalk, an astronaut does 4.5 orbits. In this case, the spacesuit will protect astronauts from 9 450-degree temperature swings. Part of the Artemis mission is to go to the south side of the moon, which is way colder than the equator, which is where astronauts went during the Apollo missions. Therefore, ILC has to change mission profile. Threat number 4, micrometeorites. I feel like a micrometeorite just went into my mouth. Micrometeoroids are tiny pieces of dust flying at high velocity. Typical speed is 17,000 miles per hour. That's 10 times the speed of a high-powered bullet. An impact energy of micrometeoroids against a spacesuit can be greater than the bullet. Therefore, the outer layer of a spacesuit acts like a bulletproof vest. Threat number 5, radiation. EVA spacesuits provide radiation protection. In LEO, low Earth orbit, the Earth's magnetic field shields the astronaut from parts of the electromagnetic spectrum. However, parts of the ultraviolet light range of the EM spectrum are still problematic. UVA and UVB penetrate the Earth's atmosphere, so are present on the surface of the Earth. In space, there is also UVC and VUV near the X-ray portion of the EM spectrum. VUV is ionizing radiation, similar to X-ray and gamma ray, think Hulk. Therefore, it disrupts DNA, causing a cancer risk. Outside of LEO, for example, surface of the moon or cislunar space, X-ray and gamma ray radiation are also a consideration. So now you know how spacesuits can protect an astronaut, whether it be extreme temperatures or, super fast micrometeorites. What if you wanted to buy one? How much is a spacesuit? So before you get that piggy bank and start saving up, there's a few things you need to know. So unlike the Apollo era, modern spacesuits are modular in design. That means they come in components, and each component has a rated life. Different lifetimes for different components. Now these components are disassembled and reassembled for different astronaut sizes. And there are different sizes, loads of different sizes, depending on the part of the body that the component is for. So for extravehicular mobility unit suits, these are the following different types of sizes. So for upper torso, there's 3 different sizes. For lower torso, 4. For arms, 5. And for gloves, so for your hands, there are 64 different sizes for gloves. Bloody hell. How many different sizes of human hands do we have? Well, clearly loads of different sizes. But yeah, 64. So if you think you've got weird hands, I'm sure they've got a glove for you. Now, if you were to combine all those components and basically have one single spacesuit plus a portable life support system, how much do you think ready to go, ready for action spacesuit would be? It will be $15 to $20 million. Surprise? Well, remember this, a spacesuit, an EVA spacesuit, is basically the world's smallest spacecraft, plus mobility and dexterity, which is, really hard to achieve and takes excellent engineering capability. So, believable if you ask me. Now you know the different types of spacesuits, how much it is, and how it protects an astronaut from space. But there's still so much to know. For example, how the Apollo mission spacesuits are different from the Artemis mission spacesuits. What it's like to wear a spacesuit, and finally, the most important question that all my friends ask me. What if I need to pee? What if I need to itch? And I'm wearing a spacesuit. What do I do? Well, I'll answer all these questions and more in my next video. And if you have an answer for that last question, P and H question, drop an answer below, and the first person to get it right will get a shout out in my next video. Until next time, stay safe, put some SPF on, press that like and subscribe button, and hopefully one day I will see you in space.